Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Crossroads of Unalaska. Here I am, Korean back scratcher. Basically, today I want to be talking about why did I decided to do witchcraft? Like, how did I become a witch? How did I know that I wanted to be a witch? Many of you might be watching because you're starting, and this is a journey of you knowing: do you want to be a witch? Do you want to be a sorcerer, warlock, magician? There's many names to it. Do you want to be a root worker, a conjurer, a demonologer? When I started witchcraft, I didn't know I wanted to be a witch. I didn't have all of this, my sacred space. When I started, I was so overwhelmed. I didn't know where to start. So you might be the same boat as I was. You are tempted, you are interested, you are just pulled into nature, candle magic, spirits. You want to interact and experience what you've never seen before. I'll tell you a little bit about how it all began with me. I was raised as a Christian since I was a child, where I felt like I was a bird in a cage because it was so restrictive. It wasn't life for me, the way of life, how I was raised. So after I joined the military, I was able to travel to Okinawa, Japan. Beautiful island, by the way. Clear blue skies and clear water, crystal clear. And the people are so nice, and beautiful temples, you name it. That was the best experience.
So what you're seeing here is myself with the glasses and a pink light blue shirt, trying to go and wait to pass through the hole to heaven, which is at Todaji Temple in Nara. It's very small, rectangular, and it's a wooden pillar located behind the great Buddha statue. And according to its tradition, like if you pass through the pillar, the hole grants enlightenment, good luck, and a place in heaven in the next life.
And then I went to South Korea. So here's when I kind of remember that I knew there was something more about spirituality. And I wasn't into witchcraft by then. So I remember beautiful going into this mountain, and there was a temple near the ocean. And it was white stone. Yes, she's depressive and suicidal, but she trusts in you and she wants you to take her to New Orleans. And I've always wanted to go to New Orleans. And I was a Harry Potter fan, not anymore though. She has been taken previously of like in different states for, I would say, a recovery unit and receive treatment, but she always has tried to run away, throw away her identification in the bathroom, and scream and just make their life miserable in the airplane. And so with me, I was concerned. I'm like, why she wants me to take her? Like, I've dealt with her. Like, I've never had any issues with her, and so I was like, she better not do this with me. The good thing, it did not happen that way. Like, she didn't did none of that with me. I was so grateful. Like, thank you, universe. But and I took her to the treatment facility that she needed to go. I was able to explore the quarters of New Orleans, and that was a really good experience, paid freely by the military. I didn't ask for it, it just happened. And at that time, I went into many metaphysical shops, and I remember I saw this vintage altar, and it had a black obsidian vintage mirror, and there was a statue of a goddess who was in gold and had this red crystal on the center like a crown and had wings. I know who she is, but by that time I did not know who she was. And I saw a bowl filled with letters folded, and some of the letters I would see written like I want love or beauty and stuff like that. And then they were selling candles for different reasons. And I saw healing, and I got a yellow candle that said healing and placed it there, lit it up, and wrote down heal the person that I care for. And I wrote her name and placed it in the bowl. And when I came back, that person who I desired to be healed was healed. And that was the goddess Isis, by the way. So that was the first experience ever petitioning and doing a simple light up candle for someone that I care for. I did not have any altars whatsoever. You know, when you're starting, you can either work alone or you go work with other deities, until my mother saw my apothecary, and I would just use my apothecary for teas to drink because I was looking into the properties of healing. And she's like, I don't want to be around any negative energy of that. That's bringing demons. She just sent me a text of that, and she was living in her own apartment. And I'm like, what? Like, after everything, no one in your family wanted you. No one cared, helping you, helping your daughter either. And you expressed this to me? And I said, okay, but don't ever reach me again on the text. I'm like, I am not going to allow, and you should either, have someone to tell you what to do. People assume and people judge you immediately for things that aren't evil, that aren't harmful to them. It's so disheartening that there are ignorant people like that in this world. But I experienced that. I have no communication with her whatsoever. I don't want anything with her. However, she started then trying to reach me back and trying to send me flowers on my birthday, and I just ignored. And she was sending people trying to reach me, and I'm like, I don't want to know anything about her. And people from church I've never gone to, but she went to that church, and they would know me because she'd be sending pictures about me to them. And I'm like, excuse me, because that church person member who came to try to look for me, the military pays for your gym, so I would go and work out. And he's like, try to look for your mom, honor your father, mother verse of the Bible. I'm like, I respect what you respect, but I don't follow that. And I left. And I did a nice comment and put this guy tried to put his belief towards me in the gym. I got no time for that. I'm a service member. I'm trying to maintain myself. I don't need a stalker of my mother trying to reach me. So I'm like, I want to learn about witchcraft. You know, all this evil, harmful, it's the worst, it's taboo. But none of them have experienced this. Like, I need to experience this by my own sight, my own way of exploring. So I visit metaphysical shops, there's crystals. I decided I'm going to join a Facebook group, but then, biggest mistake, I'm going to tell you that. Because this Facebook group, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to learn about witchcraft and all this, but I just joined a group that honestly was selling candles. The group was about admins who were Christian witches and ceremonial magician. I would say they were advertising their company candles. I was spending so much money on their candles, and yes, it would work, but did that help me be independent, be a solitary witch, and do my own craft, my own practice, and be empowered? And no. Realize, like, and they were talking about gatekeeping, and we're here to support other witches, but whenever another witch, baby witch, would ask in some of the chats, oh, I want to learn about Lilith or Lucifer, they would shut them down, they would block them. Their moderators would not even support and answer as well. So that discouraged me, and that just changed my perception of should I be fully open with them. But I perceive that, they just they weren't supportive of those who desired to learn about the left-hand path and learn about demonology. To me, in my eyes, if you never have put yourself to learn and experience about demons or jinns or whatever other spiritual entity, you shouldn't be gatekeeping or preventing others to learn about it if you've never done it. I just totally got disinterested, and I'm like, then I'm going to feel ashamed if I share with you that I'm interested in learning about demonology, that I'm interested in learning about the black grimoire of diabolical witchcraft. And I was still in the verge of thinking, should I unfollow or block them yet? Until I was learning that I am very highly heightened in my clairvoyance. I learned that I unwantedly can visit witches' places. And so I was able to visit the home of those admins and see where the altar of one of their deities was located at, and who that witch had a conflict with another witch who doesn't want them, like her and the ceremonial magician, to be together. And I shared that dream with her, and she expressed to me and said, so you did visit my home, you did see where my altar is for that deity is, and you saw who that witch who's trying to target me. So I've decided afterwards, you know what, I'm going to start journaling every time I dream to understand what is this gift about. Until I was doing that and realizing that I could foresee also the future. So there was more things happening, and I ever since been doing that until I had a dream of those two magicians attacking me in my dream. And I'm like, this is going to happen in the future, and I am not going to let that happen. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to block them, I'm going to unfollow them, and I don't want nothing whatsoever related to them. Anything attached from them, I break all cords, any connectivity. And regardless that I did block them and I did remove myself from the Facebook group, I was contacted and reached out by other people, well, 3 people. And they're like, oh, the admin wants to know what happened. They don't know why you block them and you left the group and blah, blah, blah. They thought that everything was fine. I said, I had a dream that they wouldn't accept me wanting to learn about demonology or demons or jinns or whatever you call it, or the left-hand path. So I felt shame and decided, you know what, I don't want any attacks. I don't want any judgment from them. But you know what, it's time for me to move on. It felt so good, detaching yourself from spiritual leaders, I would say, witches that you learn from, because then you realize that when you start expanding and exploring the path on your own and learning from others who are not being gatekeepers who are willing to teach you. And then I came to realize when I started learning from other witches, from the YouTube community. I highly recommend Oleander Sky if you're ever interested in learning about demonology, demonolatry. She has her own grimoire. And through her, I was able to learn about Yadira Perez, who is underneath the veil of Marigold. It was like an eye-opener, viewing these witches are teaching freely because this is something that they desire to give back to the community, especially those new baby witches. When I explored about the left-hand path, and I also learned through them, I realized that what I learned Witchcraft 101 from that face group, learn about cleansing, I learn about different types of dirts, I learn about whenever you want to manifest, you can basically like let go of whatever don't lust for whatever you petition, how to like fold and rotate clockwise, counterclockwise petitions. If you're interested in deities, do your research, just the basic, and then also the history of witchcraft. But there wasn't like educational, like how to do your own wardings. That's protection. That's not only cleansing, creating puppets. Never heard of that. Like seriously, there's more into the craft than just basic cleansing with Palo Santo and sage. Witchcraft is so multifaceted, and there's so many names. Like it's not only Christian witches. There's conjurers, there's root workers, there's ceremonial magicians, there's eclectic. I do identify myself as Wiccan. The Wiccan Read I know exists, but that doesn't mean I follow the Wiccan Read. And everything that they teach is not everything I follow. I'm still exploring, I'm still learning. I do like believe in duality. So basically, like I devote myself to Lord Ganesha. And like witchcraft, whenever you're working with a deity, it's not only love and light. Like you cannot single out a deity as only being love and light. There's a duality aspect. Like there, for example, for Lord Ganesha, if you did not know, he has a Agora Ganapati. So basically, he is duality. He is union of the transverse of duality. He's also Lord of the letters and learning, arts and creativity. Like he embodies the union of both the left-hand path and the right-hand path. I'm continuously, although I do identify myself as Wiccan, it doesn't mean I don't have the right to explore other paths. I think it's important for us to not limit ourselves from learning about Arabic magic or sorcery, Egyptian, Hinduism, or demonology, or ceremonial magic. Never say you will never, because you don't know later on if you will ever change, if you're ever going to explore any of these paths. How I knew I went into spirituality when I started delving into witchcraft after returning back from New Orleans. I little by little didn't have all this that you see in the back. I didn't have none of this. It was plain and empty. Like my first spell ever with Goddess Hecate, I would have her a small little jar. I remember. I had a small little jar and I put some herbs that I collected in there. And my friend said, I know you do witchcraft. Can you do a spell? And this was before her football game for her son in high school. She's like, can you do a spell for my son to win, for him and his team? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And I gave an offering to Goddess Hecate, and I said, can you please let so-and-so and the name of the team win tomorrow? And then guess what? She made it happen. I was like, holy shit, Goddess Hecate. Like, this is awesome. And then later on, I learned that she also protects and helps those who do sports. So I'm like, wow, this is interesting, amazing. But I didn't have a statue either, like for Goddess Hecate. Like, I had none of that. I didn't have this grandiose, like, that lamp is from Korea. I got things little by little. Like, throughout the years, my altar started growing. And I don't limit myself to one deity. I have more than 3 deities. And I don't dedicate myself to one deity only for one time. It's multiple times. Sometimes I might not have the energy to dedicate my time to them. So I would just verbally say and give my gratitude, or just spend time next to their altar and just study. That's like a dedication to them. And so, yeah. But it's been it's been more than 3 years doing this, and I think majority of the time people fear about witchcraft is because they don't know the basic. It's more than basic. The basic ways of protecting yourself. It's not only like creating wards, but it's also building relationship with your deities, with the lands of the spirits, with your ancestors as well. It's also creating sigils and like placing other protective, I would say, items around your home to protect yourself from spiritual entities. However, I have had, like, once I started doing this, I do want to share, like, when I was like then dedicating my time to Goddess Hecate, I did woke up one time and saw white fog all around my room, like everywhere, and it was only in my room. And I would open, and I'm like, what is happening? And it smelled really bad. It was like skunk smell. And I came to realize later, because also then after that happened, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, my husband also experienced the same thing. And then you will encounter where you might see you. So I was like having where these spirits were in the house and they were making noise. I could hear them like running through the stairs upstairs, and no one was in the house. I would be alone in home, and it's daylight. And another one was like they dropped my plant, and then it was to the point they were slamming the kitchen cabinet, like opening and closing, and then uh, dropping slices of bread from the fridge to the floor. And that's when I had it, and I said, and I was very upset, because while I did saw that white fog and it smelled really bad, and I felt like that was the veil thinning. I gave out 30. I commanded it and said, if you want to stay here, I want to let you know that I could banish you, and I'm not scared of you. But if you want to stay here, you cannot be making noises. You cannot moving my things, because you're going to scare my family. And then you're going to be proving to them that, yeah, witchcraft is not good. Because they're not used to it, you know? You have to like let the spirit know, because if not, they're going to continue like disrupting your home. But I build a relationship with the spirits, give offering, go to the crossroads, give offerings as well, or petition there at the crossroads. But I'm always grateful for their protection. I even leave offerings outside the entrance of my home for guarding and protecting. But yeah, when my husband experienced that too, he was like, ugh, he thought that there was fire. There's no fire. But then later, the stench of that smell would go downstairs, and I had to speak to it and demand, like, you cannot be appearing with this odor like this. Like, you are disrupting and creating fear in my husband. And then after that, it stopped. But there have been times, like doing witchcraft, I have seen like a spiritual um, dark entity, not a shadow, but I could clearly see its face. And it was in this black uh, gown looking down into my husband. And there was just one time I just to exercise negative energies, negative entities. And so I put that under the pillow, and I also placed some vinegar and sea salt under the bed and put that for him to sleep with. And then he woke up with a blood mark on his forehead, but I would never see that entity again. There was also another time where, you know, you meet people as well who are witches, and they just want to like visit your place. So my place wasn't protected and warded by that time, but I had like something bounce, like a spiritual entity bounce in my room, and it was up there looking at me while I was sleeping. And I knew it was watching me, and I said, I have no time for this, but you're not welcome here. And I went back to sleep. But sometimes these witches will come astrally and try to visit you. But yeah. But after that, you know, I started cleansing my house. Like cleansing the door, putting sigils, anointing the doors of my exits, doors of my home, and windows, and putting names of spiritual entities that are protectors. Also, asking Goddess Hecate to protect the home as well. So, just so you know, it's okay. There's always baby steps. When you are delving into this, this is like a crawl, um, crawl, walk, run phase. So I think I am in the walk phase, um, or maybe possibly in the run phase sometimes. But I think it's important to not limit yourself and restrict yourself of exploring different paths. I've been so blessed, honestly, to have a supportive husband and children who don't fear what I do. I have like uh, uh, shared with them like I am interested in learning in left hand path. I'm going to set an altar for one of them, and I have been fortunate of not having any issues because I've been learning how to protect myself and how to be able to interact with these entities through others who have experience. I think it's important that um, you do have your own gnosis in order to understand these spiritual entities. But if you do fear and you disrespect them, you might have a really poor experience with them. Never say you're never going to do anything, like I'm never going to do demonology or I'm never going to work with angels. We're always ever evolving and adapting to a new world that is constantly changing. And also, don't limit your gods and goddesses or deities to late antiquity or to a certain country. Like, you don't know the background of a person. Like, there's people that have come from, like I could look white, but I have family members who have come from uh, Slovenia, from the island of Puerto Rico, who are Indians, Tainos, and other that I won't disclose. But never say to a practitioner that they can't whenever you don't even know their background, like their family's tradition. And also don't be like fearful of, just do a freaking, what's it called? A website where you could test your DNA and see where your family tradition comes from. And yeah, so my last question would be, can witches be born witches? In my eyes, you don't need to be a born witch to be a witch. It's good to come from a family that has taught and has a tradition of teaching witchcraft, but you can learn witchcraft. You can, also heighten your gifts and your clairsenses and building these spiritual connections with these deities and spiritual allies, whatever you call them. Some of them call it spiritual team, but I call it spirit of the lands because each place has different types of spirits, if you know what I mean. But yeah, but I hope you enjoy. Like, I hope you understand that it's okay to learn different paths and not identifying yourself as one. And look at me, I am Wiccan, and I'm not limiting myself of, oh, I should not learn about demonology, or I should not learn about angels, or I should not learn about the Hindu gods. No, I'm going to learn about every spiritual being and entity that exists in this universe. Like, no, like, I'm not limiting myself of that. I hope your journey goes very well and that you do not limit yourself of learning and exploring the path that you want to do. You can do it. Trust in yourself.